Yeah, I think this is one where most people on a retest will probably improve.
Yeah,
so,
I think this is definitely an improvable workout.
Yeah. Now that we have some data from Beyond the Whiteboard and we've seen our own on-site athletes, off-site athletes go, I think a good target range for men, and this is on Beyond the Whiteboard site, is 140 reps on the AMRAP.
Yeah.
We have puts you where?
That puts you, you're in the round of 30 burpee pull-ups.
Pull-ups. And then 128, right, was the women's.
And 128 was the women's, which is putting you still into that round of 30, but that'd be only 3 reps.
Oh, you're okay. So basically top 10% is getting into that round of 30. The low end of it is probably going to be closer to like, I don't know, maybe 10, 11, 12. And the higher end of it can probably push you all the way into like the 95th percentile if you get towards the end of that set. But that's really the target set, that if you're repeating the workout, that's where you want to go. We had some people comment last week about the Beyond the Whiteboard statistics only give, I guess, RX'd workouts, so that when you put the scaled people on the leaderboard, only 10%, like the 10% line will move down. But we're not really entirely sure if that's true, if the scaled people are counted in the CrossFit top 10%. And when you go to look at the top 10% in quarterfinals in last year, not all of the people that qualified in the top 10% accept the invites. So it's kind of unclear like how they're getting that top 10%, if it's just the RX top 10% of just the people that all submitted RX, or if it's like, hey, there's 400,000 people in the open, so top 40,000 are going through. Like if it's that simple of a calculation.
Yeah, I have searched the CrossFit site, and I'm sure someone else knows better than we do.
Maybe you could tell us in the comments.
Tell us in the comments if you know.
Yeah.
The other question I have is, let's say someone does the first 2 workouts RX. Let's just say they got one muscle up, and then they did this one RX, and then next week it has something they can't do, and they're just like, I'm going to go scaled. Would they be deleted off the leaderboard in the top 10%?
Yeah.
Or are they still added to it because they've done some RX workouts?
I mean, my gut instinct tells me that is the way that it is, that the scaled people are counted in the top 10%, and like just the only people you're competing against in the top 10% are going to be all RX to cross. Correct. And then the scaled is just like all your RX scores and then all your scaled scores underneath that.
Oh, if what that's a mind-melting headache. Can someone just say this in plain English?
Was that confusing?
Well, I mean, but I'm also like a piece of wood.
Yeah. I think the easiest way for CrossFit to do it would be, there's 1,000 registrants, top 10% of that. No matter if they go scaled, don't do the workout, whatever.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, then these numbers will actually be a little bit lower. But I still think those are good targets. Like for men, get around halfway through the round of 30 burpee pull-ups. Like you get there, and then it's just like a sprint finish. If you have 30 seconds left, get as many as you can. Yeah. And for women, the goal is to finish those shuttle runs, get into the round of 30, and just see if you can get a couple reps.
If you finish in the top 10% of every workout, you'll be well above the overall top 10%. So when we give you the feedback, the goal is like, hey, this is the target. Try to beat this or get close to this on every single workout, and you'll safely make it to quarterfinals. So that way, all of the data and the unclarity that we have, it just doesn't really matter. As if you hit these targets on all of them, you'll be safe to make it through.
Absolutely. Yeah, we talked about this on a podcast before the Open, but we had some data from people that were like 15% in a workout, and then if they finish 2% in another workout, they're clearly in. And so it's okay to have a bad workout, or even 2 that are like on the bubble. If you have one that's pretty good, they all average out, and you're well inside that cut line.
Does that have the data for the thrusters? And should we do the Metcon first and then come to the thruster afterwards?
Well, let's talk about the thruster just real quick, because I think it's important that people understand that they could do poorly on one, and as long as they make it up in the other, then again, the averages will play out. So it's not like, oh, I got 130 reps and I wanted 140, but if you crush the thruster, you can still move up the leaderboard that way. So the 90 percentile would be 225 pounds for the men and 142 pounds for the women.
Okay. So then in the workout, biggest mistakes, getting back to Chris's question, I think what I found is that people are going way too fast in the beginning. The burpee pull-ups it's only 5 to start in that first set. So I think people are just going at like almost like a fast, hey, I'm doing a 5-minute Metcon pace, and they're running the shuttle runs. Like a lot of people were starting at less than 6 seconds per shuttle run down and back. And then by the end, they're over 10, or some people were walking by the end of it. I think that indicates that they probably would be better off throttling the pace back in the beginning and then trying to maintain either burpee pace or running pace later on. And that's something that you got to figure out on this workout, because the shuttle runs matter, but I think the burpee pace breaking down was probably the biggest limitation I saw. And whatever that round, it was either 20 or 25, or some people it was 30. They just got grindingly slow. They went from like 4 seconds a rep, and then they were like dropping down to the ground, getting up, jumping, do a kipping pull-up, and it's like 8 seconds just to finish a singular burpee at that time.
Yeah. To get into that round of 30, just for a man, if you're thinking about this, go and review your video and then start timing this. You just need to average 6 seconds per rep on the burpees. Most people, to your point, Max, were averaging like 4.5 seconds on the first couple of rounds, and that blew them up to where now it's like 8 seconds per rep on the round of 20 and 25, which then you just lose too much time, because now as the reps accumulate, the slower reps then add to the time. So you just got to be really thoughtful about how fast you go at the beginning. But 6 seconds per rep when you start is going to feel, for most people, slow, but that's okay. Just keep that throughout. And if you do that all the way through, you'll be deep into the round of 30.
It almost gives you like a little bit of a rest in between each burpee rep. So you don't have to go over and then drop straight down to the floor. You watch Patrick Vellner and Roman Krenikov, and you watch high-level people, and we put out all these demos of high-level people, and you see them get over the bar, drop straight to the ground, and you think, oh, well, that's what a burpee pull-up looks like. But if you're trying to get into the top 10%, your fitness is not at that level. So you can jump up, do a pull-up, drop to your feet, take a breath, then step your burpee back, and they can just be very slow and deliberate, because you're not winning the workout in the set of 5 and 10. You're just trying to not look like a slug in the round of 20 and 25.
Yeah, exactly. And then
that's the feedback. Don't look like a slug.
For the females, when we're just talking about the burpee pull-ups, they should probably start around 6 seconds per rep. It'd be around the same, but you can deteriorate to around 7 seconds and still get into the round of 30. So I think that's important too. As you time it, I'm sure most people will look at it and they'll start faster than 5 seconds per rep, and then they'll slow down to 7, 8, and 9 seconds per rep.
Now, y'all mentioned this last week, but the best way to try to do that is to just get a friend and have them help count you down, so you stick to that rep cadence?
I feel like there's really 2 options for something like this. Now, first of all, trying to keep all of these things in your mind and be like mentally acute while you're working at max effort is kind of a challenging skill to do it by yourself. If you are doing it by yourself and you just have a judge, the judge isn't supposed to be your timekeeper. So maybe getting a whiteboard and writing down checkpoints. So we created this spreadsheet, which I think they're going to get it in their comments. Basically, it models out what you need to do for a 140 or what you need to do for a 128. And you can just give yourself checkpoints. So as an example, to finish the 10 shuttle runs after the 10 burpee pull-ups is 4 minutes into the workout. Or to finish the 10 shuttle runs after the 5 burpee pull-ups is 143. So you could just write 143, 4 minutes, and you can give yourself these target checkpoints. So that way, when you're going through the workout, if you get back and you're 15 seconds early or 10 seconds early, you can chill, take a breath, and know like, okay, I'm okay. Or you come back and you're like, wow, I'm off pace. I need to pick it up. I need to run a little bit faster. I think having checkpoints like that is the equivalent if you're doing like a run time trial and you're trying to break a 6-minute mile, for example. And that means every 400 needs to be at 130 pace. So you run your first 400. You can't be staring at your clock the whole time, but you cross the 400 line, you give yourself a checkpoint, you're like, cool, I'm on pace. And then you keep running. It's kind of the same thing. And I mean, this is a running workout, so I guess it's literally the same type of thing. Giving yourself those checkpoints gives you a little bit more of an understanding of where are you relative to where you need to be to get the score that you want.
Yes, it's instant accountability in the workout.
Exactly.
And the other thing is it will also encourage you to pick it up at the end. So like you may be a little bit behind and it's like, okay, now the last round of burpees or the last round of the shuttle, I can go a little bit faster. Or you could slow down on the shuttles so that you can sprint the burpees if you know you have a little bit of time built into the bank.
Yeah, this has the averages, right?
Yeah, it does.
So the averages are, or is this time per rep?
That's what I just went over.
It's broken up by each set.
Exactly. And so basically you want to average 6 seconds per rep for the men in the burpee pull-up. You want to average 6 seconds per rep in the first 5, 10, and 15 for women in the burpee pull-up. And then as the reps ascend, so you get 20 and 25 burpee pull-ups, slow your pace down to 7 seconds per rep, which will actually be much more manageable than most people think. It's just if you start too hot, then 7 seconds feels too fast at the end, just because you blow up, you redline. And then for the shuttle run, we just found that men and women are almost the same pace on the shuttle runs, especially when you talk about 10. So 7.5 seconds per shuttle run is around where you should be to get into the round of 30.
So Also, in this workout, it's kind of like two completely different movements. And some people are going to be really confident at burpee pull-ups, but maybe not as confident in running. So you can take those averages and you could shift them a little bit.
Yes.
You could be like, okay, well, instead of 7.5 second runs, I'm going to try to run 8 or 8.5, but I'm going to try to get my burpees done at a 5 second average. So you're basically making up the time on the burpees and losing it on the running, or vice versa. I saw some people with running backgrounds that were running fast in every single shuttle run set. And then I saw people get almost the same score and like walk one of the transitions or something leading in. So I think you got to be able to practically look at these and go through your own video and figure out, okay, well, what was I averaging? Where did I finish? This is what I need to average. And then that can tell you, based on your own skill set, what do you try to pick up and what do you try to maybe slow down, or where did you lose time relative to the targets you're trying to get to?
Yeah, I really think that's the first step, is you need to review your own video. And that's why I always say, like, even if you're not trying to get on the leaderboard, you don't really care about video, just have it so that you can review it yourself and always get better at the sport. So the first thing is like have your own spreadsheet and then just go round by round. How long did the 5 burpee pull-ups take? How long did the 10 shuttle runs? And then go through it and then figure out your own averages. And maybe you'll find out that, wow, I actually met that 6 second per rep burpee pull-up, but I was at 9 seconds for the shuttle runs. And then you can identify that as something you need to get better at.
Yeah. And then I think that's it for the technical things on the turns. I feel like people being sloppy. I mean, we put out the video from Instagram of Ryan doing the drills, really being clean with your cuts, getting out and accelerating into the run, maintaining pace. I feel like a lot of times people are getting into the end and they're like really walking, or they're jogging at walk pace. Yeah. You got to do
like
that.
Moving extra just to
walk if you have to walk. But if you don't, I feel like maintaining your posture and positions late in this workout's really hard, because all the burpees are bending over, and then there's 100 or whatever, 80 something turns where you're bending over with one arm and touching. So there's a lot of people who had their backs blow up. So really good warm-ups for that. And then just trying to be as mindful as possible of your technique in the turns of shuttle runs.
Yeah. And for the burpee pull-ups, the same thing is true. I like the idea for most people of practicing 2 different styles of burpee pull-up. I'm going to start with the strict style that we saw for those that watch our throwdown James do throughout that entire workout. If you're really good with upper body pulling, you don't have a problem with it, then start strict. That's a little bit faster. And then maybe move to some kind of like, almost like a pseudo kip. You're not like going through a full kipping pull-up, but maybe you drive your knees up like Perrin was doing in our throwdown video. And then you can mix those. So maybe the 5, 10, and 15 are faster strict. And then as you go to the 20 and 25, you go into a kip just to make sure that you can kind of slow yourself down.
Yeah. So I think the discrepancy in this workout of the top 10% for women is upper body pull strength. It seemed like a lot of girls had to go to the burpee, jump to the bar, kipping pull up and go down, whereas guys were able to maintain the jump and pull for much longer in the workout. So that's something to take into consideration at this threshold. If it's only 6 seconds per rep for the burpees, or a little or slower than that, you can do a burpee, jump into the pull-up bar, do a kipping chin over the bar pull-up, and drop. You don't have to take all the extra energy to jump your body weight over the bar. Just something technical to think about with whatever your capacity is on this.
Yeah. The last thing I would say is you're just going to have to go into the pain cave the last minute and a half. I think everyone, to get to where they want to be in the sport, has to do that sometime.
Yeah.
We don't encourage you to train like that all of the time, but you have to expose yourself to that so you can get that extra rep or 2. And especially in this workout, you're going to get to the burpee pull-ups. Let's say if you're a male with maybe a minute left or a minute 15 left. And the goal here is that you just get as many as possible. And to get to that top 15%, you need around 15 burpee pull-ups.
Yeah. The shuttle runs right before that set. So you finish the 25s and then you get into the shuttle runs, and then you're going to try to finish the 30s or get somewhere in the 30s for top 10%. That last set of shuttle runs, you can make up a lot of time if you can actually hustle yourself through that 10 shuttle runs.
Yeah.
I know it's hard at that point in the workout. It sounds like, it's just easier said than done. Like, make sure you run this hard. But that, I think, is one of the most important times to be tough in the workout, because you're basically, every second you can save there, every 5 seconds you can save there, and that time gives you an extra burpee.
Yeah.
Like, you're just not going to have that much time when you get there, most likely.
Absolutely. And then what about for the thruster? For the thruster. I'm glad you guys with me. Thank you. Anything that you saw from our on-site athletes?
Yeah, So the thing in my mind that I was thinking about was 18-2 and 18-2A, where you did I think it was 10-1 dumbbell front squat and burpee, and then they tried to clean and they got crushed. I was expecting that, but it seemed like this workout, for whatever reason, maybe because it wasn't squatting, people's strength levels held up much higher in this workout. Their arms were a little bit blown up, but it seemed like people were PRing their thrusters more often or hitting somewhere around 90 to 95% of their 1 rep max. So I think that is probably the most important thing, is just get your lifts made. I think the people that are struggling in the thruster, like I talked to James on site and he said he made 2 of his 5 attempts that he made. So that's really costly because those extra pounds on the leaderboard can really add up. So I just encourage people to try to figure out, okay, how long are you going to be messed up for? What's your first attempt going to be? Is it going to be something like Krenikov did where it was just a light, like feel it out? Or are you going to rest longer like Vellner did and do your first attempt heavier? And I think I've seen both attempts work, but when people have indecision about it and they're like, oh, I don't know what I'm going to do, or I'm going to open up heavy, and then they were way more messed up than they thought and they missed their first lift, that 5 minutes just got eaten up. So I think set yourself up. If you know you're somebody that does a Metcon and like 30 seconds later you're good to go and you're super aerobic, then have something light, get one on the board, and plan your jumps from there. If you know someone who's wrecked and you're powerful, but maybe you're not going to get that many lifts, maybe plan so you're like opening at 70% of your kind of target and you're going to give yourself 2 minutes of rest and then make your jumps pretty quick, trying to get your end number up to somewhere between 92 and 90 or 92 and 102% of your 1 rep max, because you could potentially PR in this. And you should know based on your first attempt about where you can get. I think the data is just less important there. Like for that one, don't focus on the number. Don't have as much of a cheat sheet, and more so get the most out of yourself in the thruster. Yeah. And try to make it clean. I mean, I know they probably won't do video reviews and all of that type of stuff in the open, but I think it's good practice to just make sure that, you know, you're not risking getting a major penalty if you do get into quarterfinals.
Do you think most people are going to repeat this because of the first part of the workout or the thruster?
Most people are from the first part.
Yeah.
I think I've seen
a lot of people miss their thrusters.
That is true. Yeah.
I'd say half and half.
I just know a lot of people that did it and they're like, I think I can go faster. Yeah. It's one of those workouts where you probably always can go faster, but it just hurts so much in the middle of it.
Do you plan your redo differently based on which one you're doing? Like, does anything massively change?
I think the only thing that massively changes is if you're a real one-sided athlete. So if you're a really good breather and you absolutely destroyed workout 1, but then you didn't recover well and you got crushed on the thruster and you're 30 or 40 pounds slower, your approach might be different because you might be trying to throttle back your first set a little bit so that you can hit a bigger thruster.
Yeah. But there are a few people like that.
Yeah. Though. I think for most people, you go into this trying to PR the first part and then match whatever you did in the thruster, or get better if you like bombed out and didn't execute it well.
And did you say a second ago, sorry, I was switching cameras and stuff, but did you say that if I did the thruster the first time and I needed to do better, do you attack it different? Like, do you hit the warm-up weights the same, or do you, now that you know what you can hit, do you do less attempts? Or
yeah, I mean, I think it just depends on how good it felt and how well you executed it. If you did it and you're like, that was great and I got everything I wanted out of it, maybe you do it exactly the same and you just like move your numbers up by a couple pounds. Yeah, but
put change plates on.
It's a huge risk. If you, let's say you, like somebody in here today, they hit a PR on their thruster, but they're not happy with their first part of their workout. So they got to come back in. The expectation to try to crush your workout and then tie your PR, it's a hard thing to do. So I think you need to just be in the right mindset to be like, okay, this is how it went. This is about what I'm going to do, and just try to execute to the best of your ability.
Yeah. All right. What do you guys think for 23.3?
Hold on. Did we already say get the pull-up bar right above the hands?
Yeah, we talked about that.
Yep. Cool. I think that's all my thoughts.
Yeah, I think if you've said it twice, that's good.
You want to say it a third time?
Yeah, I think so. I think I want to count down 3, 2, 1, go.
23.3. Well, this is going to be the first year that thrusters and pull-ups weren't the last workout, right?
I mean, they still could do it, but it would be, they've already done a max thruster and burpee pull-up. So that'd be
but so the max thruster tests something different.
Yeah.
And the pull-up was not about upper body. It wasn't a hanging movement.
Yeah.
So that was actually a conversation I had before they started on site this morning with the quarterfinal simulation. What do they do in quarterfinals to test hanging under fatigue? So like they have to do chest bars at some point, and they probably need to do muscle-ups in a different variation.
Or rope climbs.
Otherwise, you're going to get a bunch of people that make it to semifinals that were good at the things, but not good at the gymnastics.
Yeah. And then if you test gymnastics really hard,
and they've done that in the past where people got exposed because they didn't put muscle ups or chest bars in.
Yeah.
Oh, and then you're watching a whole bunch of people at semifinals.
That can't do ring muscle ups.
Yeah. That is a big spectator problem. I've been to semifinals with at least one heat where it was like, wow, no one can do any of the stuff.
I think at that point, the announcer comes out and says, sorry, folks, we're canceling this heat due to lack of interest.
Oh, God.
We'll see how you do next year.
I was pleasantly surprised last year with the legless rope climbs. Most heats did so much better than, what was that, 2014 when they had that? I think it was. So I know that's it's a big gap.
That's like 10 years.
But in 2014, almost everyone was failing. It was just a couple guys.
You give them a decade, they really step their game up.
They can climb a rope now. I don't know if I have any predictions. I think I would say deadlift.
Well, what's left? What's left that could come out?
And hand balancing.
Yeah. There's handstand walk or
maybe
handstand push-up.
The Diane repeat, the deadlift, handstand.
They already repeated that once, though.
Oh, yeah.
It's come out twice.
Yeah.
Have they done one 3 times yet?
No, I don't think so.
Oh.
I'm sure they have. Yeah, it's probably going to be something different again. And the one more...
Is this the different thing? I'm really disappointed if we had all the stuff at the games that was like, wow, we're making a 180-degree turn in this sport, and then burpee pull-ups? Come on.
Bosman was on Instagram, and he said, if you didn't expect the burpee pull-up, you should be watching main site because we've been programming burpee pull-ups.
But that doesn't mean it's the new thing, does it?
Wait, did they promise something new?
I think that's a part of the mantra of every games open is that they'll put out something new and they'll repeat a workout. Does that happen every year?
I don't think so.
Oh.
I mean,
I thought it was like a new standard or new movements.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, burpee pull-up is new.
Yeah. But it's just to me, it's kind of disappointing
relative
new enough
to for you.
How much newness was at the games last year. I was expecting the whole community to be up in arms about something new. And it's like, all right, well, we've all done this. This is not that crazy.
Just not often.
Yeah. And not for that many reps.
Okay. So talking about the burpee pull-up, I think the next progression of this, and James and I were talking about this yesterday, will be the burpee ring muscle up or burpee bar muscle up. Yeah. Either way, burpee muscle
bar pullover.
Or that in quarterfinals. So just as, people prepare, I think that's worth practicing.
Yeah. It's going to be the same exact workout except burpee muscle ups.
That would be really hard.
And then a max squat clean or max clean and jerk instead of a
or
max
maybe they
thruster.
just clean up the thruster and say,
let's do it differently. You guys get to write 23.3. What is it?
Oh,
are we writing
come on, man. We get more. They get a whole year to think about this. I get 5 seconds. Can we pause the video? And then,
we'll be back
let's
a year
pause
later.
The podcast, and next week I'll give you my answer.
We'll just start. Go through the process.
I mean, if it's what they've done in the past, they still kind of fill in movements that are normal. So the thing that they haven't done that's been in every open would be double unders. So we'd probably put double unders in there.
There's been a lot of deadlifts, and there wasn't any deadlifts.
And handstand push-ups. That combo
or
is
handstand
common.
Walk.
Yeah. So I would put those together probably.
So write it. What is it? Here we go.
I would say ascending ladder, deadlift, handstand walk, deadlift, kipping handstand push-up, deadlift, normal handstand push-up, strict, deadlift, freestanding handstand push-up, ascending ladder in weight.
I like that.
And what about the reps?
I don't know. It would have to probably be descending rep scheme, kind of like they've done one where it was like 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, and then AMRAP or something.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah. That was just deadlifts and box jumps.
Yeah. So I think something like that where it was we did on-site. What did we do for the quarterfinal simulation? We did
so it was road
30, 20, 10. No, we did 45, 30, 15. So I'd say 40, 30, 20, 10 with something really light that everybody could do, something moderate that the 225 bar from the Open last year, then something that's kind of a quarterfinal separator, and then something for the games athletes to show up and show why they're games athletes.
On the 10 for the 10 reps?
Yeah, something like 405.
I like it when it's ascending like that because it does kind of separate the field.
All right, so hold on. If I understood this right, it's 40 reps of deadlifts at the lightest weight it's going to be. Then you have to do a handstand walk.
No, then a wall walks.
Then a wall walk.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know how many wall walks. We'd have to go like 20 or something, or something that's separated.
Okay.
15.
Then you do 30.
Then 30
at a heavier
deadlifts.
weight.
That's heavier. Then kipping handstand push-ups, probably in around the same, 30 to 40
reps.
Yeah, something like that. Then 20 deadlifts, and then
20 strict handstand
20 strict handstand push-ups, which now I think is enough to separate at that point in the workout.
Yeah.
And then heavy deadlift, and then end on some freestanding handstand push-up kind of new thing.
Yeah. The only complaint I would have then is
I'm not filing complaints here. This theoretical world, there's no complaints.
We didn't have any like true squat endurance tests, and they are known for putting those in. But maybe we're going away from that.
Yeah, I mean there was 40 wall balls.
Yeah,
that'd be weak
that's
compared
not near
to
enough.
Yeah.
They've done.
We
so
need
much
people's
more.
legs ruined.
At the time cap, you have to do 1 minute max air squats.
Oh my god,
There'd be no separation.
dude. My
there,
level 1, I had to do Tabata air squats.
that hurts.
That made my quads.
Hold on. You
Wrecked.
said there would be no separation there. So
Not for the best.
No, okay. So at the time cap, you have to do something to achieve what you just said. What is it going to be?
For a minute only.
Well,
a
no,
minute?
it could be whatever he says now.
Oh.
But just to get that
3
To
minute,
get the
3
separation?
minute max overhead squats
Yeah, that would
at
definitely
95, 65.
There would definitely be separation.
3-minute max overhead squats at what?
95, 65, just like constant.
I know they already did wall balls, but one that I've always thought would be fun is just like this is your tie break. AMRAP wall balls unbroken.
Oh.
No pauses.
Yeah. The problem with that is no reps. How do you
That is
handle
true.
no reps?
How do you? Yeah.
I like 7. If we should have an open where it's 7-minute AMRAP of just different movements, and one of them is wall balls. What happened to the light?
Hey,
the lights went. That was a divine sign. They're like, none of that. Turn that off.
Screw this little conversation. Y'all need to wrap it up. The lights are killing themselves.
All right. Well, go crush 23.2A and B.
Good luck.
Peace.
Good luck.